Good morning. It is Monday. Thanks for joining us again. We have got a little bit of progress to report. Nothing that you haven't seen on the previous videos, but we got a roof. Well, part of a roof. We finished this guy off last week. We've got 11 panels up on the roof to make one section out of 4 roofs. This is the roof over the study and just another bedroom. Gee, it's good to finally have some cover. Really excited about that. We've got a week's worth of pretty terrible weather coming up, so it's really nice to have somewhere that we can just duck out of, get out of the rain. But I think we're going to need it this week because every day this week has forecast at least a bit of rain, if not a lot of rain. So it's going to be an interesting week. Hopefully we can get a bit more done. I think this week, starting today, we're going to work on the other side of the wall that we've sort of already started. That comes down in a 45 towards the corner of the deck. Then the next section of roof comes over the top of the lounge room to this post here. We've got to get a beam from the box beam up here down to this post. This one's probably going to take a bit of nutting out. It's going to take some brain twisting. So that's, I think, what we're going to work on today, and then we're going to make our way across from that 45 beam up to this other beam that runs down the pitch of the roof, and then let's not get ahead of ourselves, eh? So we've got our beams here to go from the top of this post up to that red bracket up there. We've got our top one sorted out so that it's notched, ready to sit on the top of the post. And we've got the angles cut here where it's going to skinny down to form part of the eaves support for the panels. So we're just going to copy all of these measurements and cuts onto the next beam because the two of them get sandwiched together over the top of this guy. We have noticed that they haven't cut the panels to suit this measurement. For some reason they've got the center of this column not in the center of the room, so we're going to have to cut and shut a bunch of roof panels, which is a pain in the butt. I don't know why they've taken that the measurement that they have, but that's what it is and that's what we've got to deal with. So that shouldn't go anywhere. I'm going to try and sneak a couple of these big landscape screws on an angle. We've got a big LVL in the back of this box beam that all these screws are going into. If I can catch that with a couple of these big landscape screws, that'd be really nice. We'll see how we go. Just mind your head there. I love it. That's good. I'm pleased. So we've put this infill panel up against the box beam. We've put some foam on the other side of it. You guys will be getting sick of looking at foam and bugle screws. You'll be like, oh, what else is there? Well, I'll tell you what, there's not much else other than foam and bugle screws. But that's all right. So in the box beam we've got some vertical studs all the way through, sort of about 900 centres I think. They had to be 1200, but they ended up being a little bit shorter and closer together, so I'm fine with that. And if you remember, there's a big LVL that we laid into those studs in the box beam so that when we stood it up like this, we'd have something to screw through the ply into. So all of these other connections are really nice and strong, but what I'm doing is just going through and finding these vertical studs and dropping another couple of screws in there. But we're using 150s, 150mm or 6 bananas, and going into there without pre-drilling. Yeah, I'm just going to snap a head off, so I thought we'd better break the drill out and pre-drill just so we don't bust these things off. What to do with that? There it is. So today's pretty much just been set up for the next lot of roof panels coming through in this section. We've got the infill beam on the far side. We've got this infill, which is going to be the closer on the top side of the roof panels. And there's one behind you on this beam, and that beam took some working out, man. I tell you what. So this infill panel and the beam, we had to sort of hold things in place to cut that angle off at the bottom. That's actually level because the ceiling's going to come in at that point. The OSB on the top will sit sort of halfway on the top of this guy, but we're required to have 10mm packers underneath our battens that hold the roof on. Well, that the steel, the corrugated iron goes on the top of the battens. The battens have to have a 10mm packer underneath them to allow watershed on the material. What do we call that? Sarking, roof paper, whatever. So there's a 10mm space under the battens. So we figured we might as well have this LVL beam sticking the 10mm up so that we can just run our battens straight across. And that way our battens are nice and strong, caught in the center of this whole roof line into that double LVL beam, so they're going to sit nice and strong, and that beam's going to be the right height off the deck of the OSB for the battens to sit onto. So that's going to make a nice connection. All of those screws through that bracket have caught the LVL that's laid into the box beam, and yeah, like I said, I'm just going through and pretty much over engineering everything else so I can sleep at night, because I like listening to the wind and not stressing about my house blowing away. We lived for 16 years up in the northwest of the state in a little town called Smithton. Shout out to all the Smithton crew. And man, the wind used to get up there. We had it in town. We had a house in town, and one weekend it was supposed to be 110k an hour winds. Normally it didn't sort of get that high in town, but this night, man, our roof was shaking. The whole house was shaking, and I'd wake up through the middle of the night just going, this is the gust that's going to take our roof off. It was that was probably the worst I've seen, but that was some serious wind. We get serious wind here too. We had, if you remember that other video with the box beam, when we were putting that up, we had some really bad wind the couple of days leading up to that. I'm very happy about over-engineering these sorts of things, making sure we're gluing and screwing every beam connection so the whole thing's basically laminated, and putting these extra big screws in here into solid timber in the back. It's all peace of mind. The engineering might not have gone that far. I'm happy to go further. I've got a bunch of screws that I'm not actually going to have a use for, so I might as well just overkill everything that I can and just keep putting screws in, because it all adds to less sleepless nights, and I'm in favour of that. So maybe I can get another one just in here. That's very good. I'll show you what else we've been up to today. We've got this bracket on up here. That's going to support our beam over to this corner. Got this double or triple post in, laminated together for our corner post, so that's nice and strong. couple of big bolts through the bottom there. We've got an elec chicken here today as well. I asked the guys if they could come and put in some power points for us just to make it easier. So he's got to run a sub board over here. He's just wiring up inside the shed. Are you right there?
Yep. Now I'm getting a little bit.
Yeah. How are we gonna? I'm gonna have to lift. I'm gonna have to go down.
Sit him on there.
Okay, hang on. Let me lift up a little, and we'll get that.
That's it. Now we can come
Okay,
in.
now can you drop your corner?
Yep. Right. Yep. Yep. Nice.
Okay. That was harder than it needed to be. Can you bash your end up that way now? Are we pretty much in all the way over there on the beam?
Yes, we are.
Okay, well I'm pretty much on my mark here.
Yeah, I'm pretty tight here.
Okay, stop. I've got to lift from that side. Ow. Okay, trying to lift. So today was interesting. We thought we were going to have a washout, and we sort of did pack up a little bit early, but we managed to get a bit more roof paneling on. So this is under the lounge room. This is the view north. That post in the middle there is going to be the center of 4 big windows, two panels on this side and 2 panels on this side. And the box beam has got now a roof sort of attached to it. So that's our little bit of progress for the day. I was pretty happy with that. We managed to get 6 panels on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels on. We're missing one in the corner here underneath the deck that we just didn't quite get to. But we're slowly getting more covered area, which is really nice. We've got our tools stashed over on the side there. This is definitely leaking. We've got drip lines coming through on every seam. So the sealant definitely works on the top. I just didn't have the chance to get this sealed before the rain came along. So she might be a bit of a rough old afternoon actually. I just heard some thunder before. Thankfully Charlie didn't hear it because she's old and deaf. But she doesn't like thunder much. Oh, you're very moist. Oh, very moist dog. So I think I might go inside, get out of this rain, and we'll attack it again tomorrow. So let's go inside, Charlie dog. So despite the rain today, we've finished this roof. So this is the roof above the deck on this end, lounge room, and through to Erica's room. We nearly called it a couple of times. We had so much rain on and off. We were packing up, we were bringing things out and packing up every, I don't know, half an hour I suppose. And there was one patch of rain and we're like, this is going to keep going for ages. So we just about called it. We got, I think, 1 or maybe 2 panels on, and we said at the beginning, we'll get this panel on and we'll call it a day. We're either going to work in the rain, get wet and then knock off, or, you know, wait it out. So we decided to stick it out and keep working. And instead of just the 1 panel on, we got all of these other guys on. The guys that made our panels for some reason had this beam, well, you can see the join just on the other side of it. They had this beam about 300 mil that's about 12 bananas. On the other side, I have no idea why they did that. It was never any different in any of the plans that we'd given them. This beam here has to sit on a post in the middle of windows down there, which is an even spacing between two walls. So not sure what happened there, but instead of, you know, carrying on and ordering new panels and stuff, we just we had to cut a section off these panels because they were too long, and we added that section onto those panels because they were too short. That just seems like the logical way to go. So we've got some extra timber in here. So these are 150 by 45 pieces. They're doubled up, so glued and screwed. That makes our joining splines through there. This double beam also has a piece of 150/45 strapped to each side of it, and when I say strapped I mean glued and screwed. So that's what we've been referring to as infill timber, and that's just what goes inside the cavity where the foam is sort of chowdered out from the side of the panels. That gets filled up by this guy. Foam in there as well as 4,576.5 nails per square metre. So yeah, very pleased with, considering the day's weather was quite ridiculous, quite pleased with what we've managed to get done. How much goop is too much goop? Is there such a thing? This is the roof that we sealed last night. We've had a fair bit of rain last night and this morning, but it's Friday afternoon, woo! Well, lunchtime, but knocked off. I was cooked last night. Yeah, I think I went inside at like 8:45, had some tea and pretty much got straight into bed. I was knackered. Feeling it today, climbing up and down ladders, man. But this roof sealed up really quite nicely. I don't even think I saw any drips coming out of this section. I did try and seal up some more screws over there last night as I was going with this roof above, but there's still a few leaks in that one. We've got one panel up here above us. I'll take you out here. So this is over the master bedroom. We've got this cute little guy up the top here. So that's probably 1 metre across the sides and maybe a, what's that, metre and a bit on the diagonal. So probably this, actually it's the smallest panel in the whole build. It just fits in that little corner. And that starts the straight run across here towards the bathroom. Charlie has been inside for the best part of 2 or 3 days because it's been pretty soggy, and she doesn't wipe her feet when she comes in most of the time. We try and wipe them for her, but it's just a bit of a pain, so she's been napping. But you've enjoyed napping, haven't you? Yes. So it's ciao from me. I'm going to go and find some lunch and knock off. See ya.